Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to take you on a trip with Tren Crucero from the Andes to the coast of Ecuador. You can see here the itinerary for the 4-day, 3-night trip of Tren Crucero. You can take this trip from either Quito to Guayaquil or Guayaquil to Quito. As you can see in this enlarged map here, all of the different points here are where you're going to be stopping throughout the route for different excursions or meals or a bunch of different activities that are included in the trip. So you're going to be covering a lot of different ground, a lot of different climates. You'll really be able to experience all 4 seasons in a matter of these 4 days and 3 nights just due to the diverse nature of Ecuador. So it's a very, very unique trip, a trip that's really going to immerse you in the culture and heritage of Ecuador. One thing that we really love about the Tren Crucero trip is the fact that it is an all-inclusive trip. So from the moment you step on the train on day 1, you're going to be completely taken care of. So all of your excursions, all of your meals, snacks, beverages, accommodations in the evening, all of that is going to be taken care of. The only thing that's not included is personal expenses such as handicrafts and gifts that you'll be bringing home with you or alcoholic beverages. But other than that, you really won't have to worry about a thing throughout the trip, which really is a very relaxing way to experience the country of Ecuador in the comfort of the wonderful Tren Crucero. Now we're going to take you on the trip from Quito to Guayaquil, and do remember that you can take the trip from Guayaquil to Quito. The itinerary will be the same, just in reverse. So on day 1, you start in Quito at the Chimbacalle train station early in the morning, and from there you will be taken to El Boliche, which is an area located right next to Cotopaxi National Park. The national park is really centered around the volcano of Cotopaxi. One of the most unique things that you'll notice about Ecuador is the amount of volcanoes that are there. It's really, really something that's very unique to this country, and one of the great things about Tren Crucero is that it travels along the avenue of volcanoes, so you'll really be able to see a good number of those from the train. At Cotopaxi National Park, you'll be able to get off and do a nature walk around the Limpio Punga Lagoon, which you can see in this photo here, which is overlooked by Cotopaxi volcano. So hopefully you'll have a really great day and be able to see the full volcano. Some good photo opportunities here. From Cotopaxi, you'll continue on to the San Agustin del Cayo Hacienda for a very traditional Ecuadorian lunch. One of the main questions that we do get is dietary restrictions, and that is something that Tren Crucero and Tren Ecuador take into consideration very heavily. So you won't have to worry about any of the food that is included throughout, because they do take into consideration all of the dietary restrictions. So after the San Agustin del Cayo Hacienda, you'll be traveling on the luxury train, Tren Crucero, to Lasso for the evening, where you'll stay in one of the local haciendas, which are old farmhouses that were converted into hotels, contain all of the luxuries of any modern hotel. The ones for this evening are either La Cienega, Alto Verde, or Rumipamba de las Rosas. So depending on the availability, you could be placed in any of those haciendas, all of which are very, very comfortable and accommodating, and you'll really be able to feel the different culture and historical aspects of Ecuador, which is really a unique experience that's only part of this trip. Day 2, you'll travel from Lasso to Riobamba. So the first excursion for the day will be Nevado Roses. Nevado Roses is a rose plantation located in Ecuador, where you'll be able to get a tour of the plantation and also be able to see the different manufacturing processes that they use to both harvest the roses as well as get them shipped throughout the world. One thing that you might not know is Ecuador is one of the largest producers of roses throughout the world. So if you buy a bouquet of roses in the grocery store, there is a very, very large possibility that it would be coming from Ecuador. So this is a guided tour that's done specifically for the Tren Crucero attendees, so it'll be a very, very intimate group, and you'll be able to really kind of experience it firsthand. The one great thing about this is that language barriers will not be an issue. There are guides for English, Spanish, and a multitude of other languages upon request, so that's something that will be taken care of throughout the journey as well. From Nevado Roses, you'll continue on to the city of Ambato. Ambato is a very, very unique city in Ecuador, and you can see here the Roca Plaza Hotel, which is where you'll enjoy lunch on day 2. It was an old colonial house that was converted into a hotel, so you can really see the architecture of the colonial period of Ecuador, which is a very, very unique experience. From Ambato, you will continue to Urbina Station, which is located at 3,600 meters above sea level. So it is the highest train station in Ecuador, and it converts to about 11,000 feet. So it's an incredibly unique atmosphere. You'll feel like it's the middle of winter, so for this day you'll definitely need a jacket. And you'll really be able to kind of experience the different climates. And hopefully you'll also have a good day, so you'll be able to see a view of the Chimborazo volcano. Here is definitely one of the most humbling experiences that you'll have throughout the journey. You'll meet Baltazar Ushka. He is the last ice merchant of Chimborazo and really the entire country of Ecuador. So in the olden days, before refrigerators and all of that, these ice merchants would travel up to Chimborazo each day to harvest ice to sell in the local cities. So Baltazar Ushka and his family are the last ones. He's the only one that will actually go up to Chimborazo daily. And he still harvests this ice and sells it. And it's not as much of a business as it once was, but he will be able to share the history of it. And it's really a very humbling experience, because you'll see how hard these people work to make a living, and you'll also be able to try ice cream made out of the Chimborazo ice that he brings down from Chimborazo himself. So it's a very, very incredible experience. You'll get to meet him, hear his story. If you're interested, there's also a documentary that's made on him called The Last Ice Merchant. It's about a 15-minute video, so that will kind of give you a little bit more background on what you'll hear from him at this really unique experience. From the Urbina station and your meet and greet with the last ice merchant, you'll continue on to the last stop of the day, which would be your hacienda, which is Abraspungo or La Andaluza in Riobamba. So for day 3, this will be one of your first stops. For day 3, you're traveling from Riobamba to Bucay. So the first stop will be Colta, the Balvanera Church, which you see in this picture here. The Balvanera Church was dated back to the 1500s, and it's really one of the first signs of Christianity being brought to Ecuador. So you can kind of see on the facade here that the Spaniards were actually the ones that had the Incas create this church. So it really shows the merging of the two cultures, because the Incas weren't necessarily sure what an angel should look like. So the angels here are, and all of the figures are really, they look like Incas. You can kind of see the difference between the two cultures merging into one, which really truly formed the culture of Ecuador today. So it's a very, very unique experience and really gives you a look into the Ecuadorian history and culture. From there, you'll continue on to the Guamote market, which is one of the indigenous markets in Ecuador. You'll be able to buy crafts and meet with some of the local indigenous people. One of the favorite parts for a lot of people is the Devil's Nose train. So from the Guamote market, you'll travel to Alausi, which is this really colorful town that kind of brings you into the culture of present-day Ecuador. So from here, you'll take the Devil's Nose route, which is known as one of the greatest feats of engineering in the world, just because the Devil's Nose train, as you can see here, it was built on the corner of the Andes, so it was very, very, very difficult to be built, and it now travels on a zigzag pattern from, you can see the railway going from here all the way up the mountain, and then it'll go back down. So you can kind of zigzag through the Andes, and you'll stop at Mirador, which is a lookout point at the top, so you can take pictures of all of the really traditional Ecuadorian landscapes of the Andes. One of the most incredible things about this Nariz del Diablo trip is the fact that you climb and drop 200 meters within a 3-kilometer trip. So throughout this 2-hour journey, you'll be able to experience pretty much all 4 climates in one. So it's a very, very unique experience just due to the altitude and the landscapes that are really not present many other places in the world. So it's a very, very unique experience that you'll be able to get on this Nariz del Diablo trip. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but it's something that you will not ever forget. From the Nariz del Diablo trip, you'll continue on to Bucay, which will be the last stop for today, and you'll stay at the Osteria de Franco, which is a very, very nice hacienda where everyone will stay the night in Bucay. That will bring you to day 4, where you'll travel from Bucay to Duran, and from Duran on to Guayaquil. So the first stop for today will be the shore community. The shore community is a local population that migrated from the Amazon over 70 years ago, from the Amazon to the coast. So even though you don't technically go to the Amazon, they kind of bring that culture and history to you with the shore community. So you'll be able to see a lot of their traditional dances. You'll learn how to hunt with a blowpipe. You will be able to see all of their different ceremonies and things like that. They'll do a lot of different cultural presentations for you while you're there. It'll really kind of bring you into the Amazonian culture and the coast. So you can kind of see here all of the different artwork and artisan work that they do here at the shore community, and it'll be a very incredible experience that you wouldn't really be able to have anywhere else, especially in this area, without going to the Amazon. The next stop for the day will be a cacao plantation. Similar to roses, Ecuador is one of the largest producers of chocolate in the world, cacao. So at the cacao plantation, you'll be able to see the entire process. You'll be able to walk through the plantation and see every step along the way, from the planting to the harvesting to the creation of the chocolate, and you'll be able to try some of the chocolates as well. So it's a very tasty experience, and you'll be able to really kind of see firsthand what goes into making that chocolate that we all love so dearly. From there, you'll switch to a steam train, which is one of the most unique features about the Tren Crucero. Here, and also for the Devil's Nose ride along there, you will be using a steam train. So these steam trains were locomotives that were used in the trade processes in the 1900s in Ecuador, and really served a big part in their history and the development of the country overall. So these trains were actually refurbished starting in 2008 and are used in this train ride now. So taking here, you can kind of see, you'll see the climate change throughout. So behind our visitors, you'll see the banana plantations. So along the route, you'll see everything from volcanoes to the Andes Mountains, and then when you reach Guayaquil, the coastal region, you'll be in a completely different atmosphere with sugarcane plantations and banana plantations along the way. So you'll be able to experience many, many different climates and different atmospheres of Ecuador throughout this trip. So the end point is Duran train station, which is about 20 minutes outside of Guayaquil. So at the end of the trip, you will be brought to a couple select hotels in Guayaquil, which we can help you with. And that is the end of the Tren Crucero trip in this direction. If you have any questions at all, or would like to make reservations for this wonderful train journey through Ecuador, you can call us at 1-888-LUXRAIL or email us at travel@palacetours.com. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you in Ecuador very soon.